Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the course Management Information Systems. Today we're going to do the last part of the Module 2 Information Technology Architecture, and we're going to do the Chapter 7's last part. That is the Information Systems Security. In the last lecture, we were talking about the different kinds of information systems, that why are they vulnerable and what are the weaknesses of the information systems, and especially when these computer systems get connected with each other through the internet. उसमें हमने देखा था कि प्रॉब्लम्स कौन कौन से आ सकते हैं इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स को, उनके सॉफ्टवेयर को प्रॉब्लम हो सकते हैं, damage can happen to any kind of hardware. Also, the computer softwares can be misused, and the different kinds of user errors भी उनमें आ सकते हैं. Then we looked at the different damages that can happen through the internet, and we said that when any kind of private network is connected with the open network, जिसको हम internet बोलते हैं, then it is susceptible to any kind of attacks. It is तो एक तरह से वो open हो जाता है कि different kinds of intruders, viruses, or any kind of hackers can access the system. Similarly, when you are connected with the your corporate network through any kind of wireless LAN, that is even more vulnerable, because आपका जो wireless system होता है उसकी जो communication होती है, that can be sniffed through the help of sniffer programs, and the hackers or the intruders can sort of read the communication that is happening over the wireless medium easily. And for this purpose, हमने ये भी देखा था, they have the different kinds of security protocols. That was WEP web था, और एक WPA2 था, that was helping to secure the wireless communication over the wireless medium. Then also in the last lecture, we were looking at the different kinds of malware that could affect a computer system or the information system. और उसमें हमने देखे थे viruses होते हैं, viruses that duplicate themselves from one computer to another, and they are triggered by the help of human action. इसके अलावा we looked at worm, जो कि अपने आप को duplicate कर रहे थे और transfer कर रहे थे one place to another through the help of networks. Then there was a Trojan horse, which actually looks like a legitimate program, लेकिन वो आप उसको समझते हैं कि वो legitimate program है, एक असली program है, लेकिन it provides a sort of a way for other kinds of viruses to attack the system. So वो basically आपको एक दरवाज़ा provide कर रहा होता है for other kind of viruses and malwares to attack the system. Right, then we also talked about different kinds of hacking mechanisms and computer crimes, जिनको cyber crime भी बोलते हैं, and we define that as any kind of illegal activity or criminal activity that is happening either through the computers or to the computers or with the help of internet. So any kind of illegal activity जो कि computers को use करके हो रही है या किसी और के computers पर हो रही है, that comes under the category of computer crime. So either it's hacking means that you are sort of illegally coming into somebody else's territory. So either it's a computer system या information system या कोई website के ऊपर आप cyber vandalism कर रहे हैं. Cyber vandalism was that you are sort of damaging the website content, और जिस तरह की website बनी हुई है या उसको किसी भी तरह change करना या deface करना, it comes under the category of cyber vandalism. Again, that is a category of hacking. Hacking में हमने और भी बोला था that basically hacking was initially not a bad thing, because the hackers are simple expertise programmers, and they have the expertise in networking that help to figure out the weaknesses in the systems. But the term cracker is basically used for the person with the criminal intent, जिसके गलत इरादे होते हैं. That person is called as a cracker. So वो उस system की weaknesses figure out करके दूसरे systems को damage कर सकता है, या कोई databases को damage करेगा या websites को damage करेगा, etc. etc. इसके अलावा computer crimes में हमने देखा था identity thefts होते हैं, लोगों के पासवर्ड छीन लिए, क्रेडिट कार्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन छीन ली और उसको गलत तरीक़ों से यूज़ किया. देन यू फिशिंग थी. फिशिंग वाज दैट कि आप एक इस किस्म की ईमेल जनरेट कर रहे हैं, या आपको इस किस्म की ईमेल आ रही है जो कि आपको लग रहा है कि आपके किसी बैंक से है, एंड इट्स वेरी वैलिड ईमेल और बहुत कॉर्पोरेट लेवल की ईमेल है, एंड दे आर आस्किंग यू टू go to their website and type in the usual information that you type in, that is your password or your account information, etc. But actually what is happening is that they are directing you to a fake website so that they can take away your password or account information and use it for any kind of malicious purposes. जिसके अलावा spyware programs थे that were basically do not have the intention of being used as malware, but they can be used as malware to detect people's websites, what kind of websites do they visit, और उनकी different keystrokes या key logging जिसको कहते हैं, keystrokes figure out करते हैं, again to get any kind of confidential information or personal information that can be used for any kind of criminal purposes. And then इसके अलावा हमने जब computer crime की बात की थी, we also talked about cyber terrorism, which means that if there is a damage that is occurring on a very large scale, for example अगर air traffic control system को sabotage किया जा रहा है या किसी और किस्म के traffic control system को sabotage किया जा रहा है, banking systems को sabotage किया जा रहा है, then that means that comes in as category of cyber terrorism. Now, once we've talked about all these kind of problems that the information systems face, now that we've talked about all kinds of problems that the information systems face in terms of software damage, hardware damage, and also different kinds of malwares and different kinds of computer crimes that can happen. Intruders आ सकते हैं, hackers आ सकते हैं, systems जो आपके में बहुत vulnerable होते हैं. So, for this purpose, you need to have different kinds of security measures that need to be implemented for the information systems by the company. Organizations को बहुत ज़्यादा effort करनी पड़ती है in order to secure their information systems, especially when those information systems are based on computers. या computer systems को, because digital information, like we said, is very vulnerable. उस सारी information को secure करना बहुत important होता है. Today we're going to identify the components of an organizational framework for security and control. कि एक organization level के ऊपर किस किस्म की चीज़ें implement होती हैं and किस sequence में implement होती हैं, so as to identify कि problems कौन कौन से आ सकते हैं उनके information assets को. Also, we're going to discuss the various kinds of tools and technologies for safeguarding the information systems. पहले हम policies की बात करेंगे, उसके बाद हम tools और technologies की बात करेंगे. Information systems control. Whenever you have any kind of computer system, तो आपको एक sort of a security policy devise करनी होती है that is based on the different kinds of risks that that any kind of organization has. So उसमें दो चीज़ें आ जाती हैं. Information systems control में दो चीज़ें आ जाती हैं. Number one is general controls and the number two is application controls. How are you going to basically control the security of the organization? General controls are basically concerned with the design, security and use of the computer programs as well as the security of the data files that are related with the computer programs all over the organization. So basically वो generally सारी चीज़ों को control कर रहे हैं and they have sort of a policy that defines कि कौन सी चीज़ control हो रही है, कौन सी चीज़ें secure हो रही हैं. So they're basically concerned with the design, security and use of computer systems throughout the organization. Right, इसमें different kinds of controls आ जाते हैं. Number one is the software controls. Software controls basically जो होते हैं, they monitor the use of the computer software, जिसमें system software आ जाता है, application software आ जाता है, so that they cannot be used by unauthorized users, so that they are safeguarded from the unauthorized access. Physical hardware controls में आपकी hardware equipment के बारे में safeguarding आ जाती है, that you need to place your hardware equipment in such a place so that they are physically secure, and also if there is any kind of malfunction तो आपकी कोई ऐसी policy devise हुई है जिसमें अगर कोई आपका एक hardware component malfunction कर रहा है, you have any kind of backup available so that you can replace it instantly. Right, next we have the computer operations controls that are concerned with overseeing the work of the computer department that is working according to program procedures or not, and then it also devises policies that आपके जो systems अगर fault कर रहे हैं, then you need to have some kind of a backup facility and you need some kind of recovery procedures for any kind of processes that are not working properly. Then there are the data security controls, that any kind of data that is saved on any kind of storage media needs to be secure and safe from unauthorized access. Then there is the control over implementation of business processes, which is that you are auditing the system development process at various points to ensure that the process is properly working in a already defined manner. इसके अलावा we have the administrative controls. Again, इन सारे controls को देखने के लिए the general controls or application controls are applied properly throughout the organization. That is called the administrative controls. So general controls में basically they look at या sort of monitor the different points of the information systems throughout the organization. Then we have the application controls. Application controls are the specific controls unique to each computerized application that check for data accuracy and completeness. So basically, आपके हर एक computer application के लिए एक application control का setup उन्होंने provide किया. That means that you check for the accuracy and completeness of the data at the time of entry. That means that is the input control, or that is during the updating process, that is the processing controls, and also check for the accuracy and completeness of data when it is coming as a result of the computer processing. That becomes the output controls. So throughout the process, आपका जो भी एक application run हो रही है, उस application में either the data entered is correct, accurate or complete, either the updating is correct, accurate or complete, and whatever you're getting the result is accurate and complete or not. ये सारा application controls में आता है. So information systems control के, like I said, दो sort of categories हैं, general control and application control. Right. So once you have defined कि you are clear with the idea कि information system control में जो दो चीजें आ रही हैं, general control and application control. Now we're going to talk about that if your information system is vulnerable to any kind of problems, तो वो problems कौन से हैं, so that you can determine the most cost effective set of controls. ठीक है, आपने अगर कहीं भी controls automate करने हैं या manually control करने हैं किसी चीज को, you need to have certain kind of tools and technologies that are required to do so, and that requires that you need to be financially strong to do that. So risk assessment इसलिए करते हैं so that आपको different kinds of problems and different kinds of risks हैं जो कि आपके information system को आ सकते हैं, but you have to figure out that what risks are किस किस्म के risk की probability ज़्यादा है और किस किस्म के risk की probability जो damage की है वो ज़्यादा है. So basically risk assessment helps to determine most cost effective set of controls. It determines the level of risk to a firm if a specific activity or process is not properly controlled. अगर तो किसी किस्म का कोई भी damage आ रहा है, for example it's any kind of national disaster या कुछ भी problem आ रहा है, या फिर आपको जिस किस्म के भी hardware problems हो सकते हैं, software problems हो सकते हैं, then any kind of these problems are evaluated in the form of risk assessment. That this is the risk, this is the probability of the risk, and this is the level of damage that can be caused by that risk. So risk assessment में basically ये चार चीजें figure out करते हैं. That is the value of the information assets, the points of vulnerability, किस level के ऊपर risk है, then the frequency of the problem, how soon does it occur, then the potential of damage, कि जितना ज़्यादा वो occur कर रहा है उसका damage उसी proportion में ज़्यादा है या कम है. So once you have devised everything like that, और अगर again आपने एक document बना लिया जिसमें आपको पता है कि आपके risks कौन से हैं, उनकी probability क्या है, frequency क्या है, and what is the potential of the damage. Once you have decided that and looked upon that, the controls should focus on ways to minimize the risk of a certain problem if the probability of its damage is relatively greater or highest. So आप उस risk को ज़्यादा focus करेंगे, उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा आप financial assets लगाएंगे या tools या technology उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा concentrate करेंगे जिसका damage probability ज़्यादा निकल रही है. So for example अगर एक normal setup information system की बात करें तो आप देखेंगे कि power failure की वजह से ज़्यादा problems हो सकते हैं. Power failure की वजह से ये हो सकता है कि आप you are in the middle of doing something या in the middle of there's a if you have an online system, तो कोई भी transaction जो है वो online हो रही है and it's in the middle of being processed, then आपका power failure आ जाता है, then that causes a loss of a lot of data, that causes a lot of damage as well. ठीक है जी. सो इस किस्म के प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकते हैं. दूसरे प्रॉब्लम ये हो सकते हैं यूजर एरर हो सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल पीपल आर एंटरिंग सम काइंड ऑफ डेटा इनटू द सिस्टम और एम्प्लॉयज आर एंटरिंग डेटा, लेकिन देयर कैन बी बिकॉज ह्यूमंस आर प्रोन टू एरर. सो यूजर्स जो हैं किसी किस्म भी स्पेलिंग एरर या एनी काइंड ऑफ किसी किस्म का भी एरर कर सकते हैं, मिस्टेक कर सकते हैं. सो there should be technologies and tools that have to check for the kind of check the data at the time of entry, for example. So ये छोटी सी दो examples दिए हैं कि power failure की वजह से भी ज़्यादा problems हो सकते हैं, आपका जो data है वो accurate और complete नहीं हो सकता, user errors की वजह से भी data accurate और complete नहीं हो सकता, and similarly इन दोनों reasons की वजह से for example the probability of the damage is higher. ये दो risks हैं और इनका damage जो है probability जो है damage की वो ज़्यादा है. So that means the organization is going to devise the certain kind of a policy or certain kind of a security policy या कोई किसी किस्म के भी rules बनाएंगे or they're going to do some kind of backup systems so that कि जो damage है वो minimize हो सके. Right. So next, once you have devised, you have looked into the risks of the company faces and you have made a document of the risk assessment, then comes the security policy. अब इसमें तीन चीजें आ जाती हैं. Framework और security और control में तीन चीजें आ जाती हैं. Number one is the security policy. Number two is the disaster recovery planning and the business continuity planning. So in case of any kind of calamity or any kind of damage to the information system or your computerized systems, these three things are going to basically save the system. Number one is a security policy, which means that it consists of statements ranking information risks, identifiable acceptable security goals, and identifying the mechanism for achieving these goals. That means they assess the risk assessment जो की थी उसको सामने रख कर they are going to identify what will be the security goals and also identify different kinds of mechanisms for achieving those security goals. Right ji. Next is the disaster recovery planning. That is if by any chance or by the help of by for example natural disasters or by flooding या earthquake या इस किस्म की चीज़ों से कोई भी चीज़ें डैमेज हो रही हैं, आपका हार्डवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर इक्विपमेंट कुछ भी डैमेज हो रहा है, then there has to be a disaster recovery planning system available there. That means it's a plan for restoration. Restoration means के जो भी कुछ डैमेज हुआ है उसको आप restore कर रहे हैं फौरन, of computing and communication services after they have been disrupted, especially technical issues are handled in this department. For example कि आपने figure out कर लिया कि कौन सा data जो है that is the most critical data and that needs to be backup in case of any kind of disaster. So इसमें ये होता है कि आप different कुछ companies जो होती हैं they have their operational data center in one place. ठीक है, for example अगर earthquake आ गया और उनकी सारी building तबाह हो गई है, उनके computer systems damage हो गए हैं, and they have a backup computer center जो है वो उनका किसी और शहर में है for example, so that they can move they have the critical data backup somewhere else. Right जी. और कुछ organizations इस तरह भी करती हैं that they are going to consult any kind of firm that provides the disaster recovery planning external firms होती हैं जो इस तरह की चीज़ें provide करती हैं, so they sort of have extra hardware that is available that stores the data of the organization, so that in case of disasters they can directly connect to those systems and make their working operational. इसके अलावा there is the business continuity planning. Business continuity planning basically is focusing on how the company can restore business operations after a disaster strikes. So disaster recovery jo tha, that was about backing up the data and the technical issues involved. Business continuity basically figures out that what are the critical or the mission critical business processes that need to be operational even if a disaster strikes. So इसमें identify करते हैं आपके कौन से critical business processes हैं, and you have to determine plans to handle such processes in case of disasters. So आपके जो different processes हैं that need to be functional in any case, otherwise you're going to lose customers. ठीक है, so this is very important कि आपका जो business है वो continue करना चाहिए, operations जो हैं वो continue करने चाहिए even though a disaster strikes. So again, you need to have a backup system जिसमें आपके business processes जो हैं वो disrupt ना हो. Right. Now that you have a certain kind of security policy, you know what are the risks to the company, you have developed a certain kind of security policy, you are implementing those security and controls in your organization, but how does management know that the information security and controls are effective? ठीक है जी, अब question ये arise होता है that once you have the security and control mechanisms functional into the organization, but how effective are they? So for this there is we have this management information system auditing procedure. That means it examines the firm's overall security environment as well as controls governing the individual's information systems. So एक firm की overall security determine करते हैं इसमें, and also different kinds of controls that are governing the different information systems in the organization. ठीक है जी, इसमें क्या होता है, auditing team usually it's an external company that comes into your company to do the auditing. So auditing is basically checking if your security and control measures are effective and they're working properly. या उसमें कोई as such loopholes या problems तो नहीं है जो कि आपके कंपनी को खतरनाक साबित हो सके. So इसमें क्या करते हैं, they're going to review different kinds of technologies that are applied for securing the systems, the different kind of procedures, the different kinds of documentations that have been prepared, that is the policies, and also they provide the training that is required for people who are taking care of the security, and they're going to review the personnel as well, that means the people who are there who are securing the systems. ठीक है, इसमें ये क्या होता है, so it's basically a very detailed analysis of the security and the controls that are functioning in the organization. And at times जो auditing team है, they're also going to simulate attacks, means fake attacks जो हैं वो आपके system के ऊपर implement करके देखेंगे कि अगर कोई information system या उनके network weaknesses आ रही है या और कोई software weakness है तो वो pinpoint हो जाए. So in the end, this MIS auditing team basically makes a document that lists different kinds of weaknesses or problems in the system. ठीक है, उनको different levels के ऊपर rank करते हैं, and then they also give an analysis of the probability of the occurrence of these kind of problems, कि वो कितनी बार occur हो सकते हैं और कितने ज़्यादा occur होते हैं, and then they ask the management basically to figure out a plan to solve these problems. So up till now we have talked about how the different kinds of companies can establish a framework for security and control. That is, what steps are they going to follow to differentiate the different kinds of weaknesses any kind of information systems in the company have, and also figure out the different level of controls and the different level of security that needs to be applied to solve any kinds of problems. So that means that you have to have a safe and sound security policy. You need to have a plan for disaster recovery, and also you need to have a plan for the business continuity. And to look at all of this, there is MIS auditing teams that are available, and the MIS auditing procedure that is available that assesses that your security and controls that are being applied into the company are safe and sound and they're working properly. Right, next we're going to move on to the different kinds of tools and technologies that can be used, and then again आपकी security policy जो है वो define करती है कि आप किस किस्म के tools and technologies use कर सकते हैं to safeguard the information systems. Number one is the identity management and authentication. So when you're dealing with large companies or mid-sized companies, तो उनके जो IT infrastructure होते हैं that are very complex. That means they consist of number of information systems, and there are a number of users that access the system at different levels. So that means that different people have a different level of access. And the users there need to be authenticated so that they cannot access all kind of information. So basically, they require authentication and identity management, that is automating the process of keeping track of all these users and their system privileges. That is कि जो भी users उस system को access कर रहे हैं, they keep track of those users and the system privileges, means कि वो किस level तक systems access कर सकते हैं. So basically, authentication is the ability to know that a person is who he or she claims to be. कि जो बंदा एक्सेस कर रहा है एक सिस्टम को वो वही बंदा है जिसको अलाउड है या नहीं. And authentication can done with the help of very simple thing. पहले तो एक चीज़ है पासवर्ड्स, ठीक है. डिफरेंट कंपनीज में उनके पीसेस एक्सेस करने के लिए पासवर्ड्स होते हैं. You have a login and password to log on to computers and access the system, and employees are often told to continuously change the passwords because passwords can be sniffed over the network as well. So the security policy ये भी हो सकती है that you have to change password every week or every month or stuff like that, so that उनके जो अपने accounts हैं वो save हो सकें. Then they also have tokens. Tokens basically devices that are designed to prove identity and display passcodes that frequently change. So the employees are also given tokens जिसके अंदर the passcodes and different time पे change हो सकते हैं, and that is again for security reasons. Then people can access systems through the help of smart cards as well, which is again a size of a credit card जिसमें chip होती है that has all the information about the person and access rights उसके कौन-कौन से हैं. So that information again you slide that card into a reader. So if you remember, we talked about the smart cards in the input hardware when we were talking about this, and we said that different kinds of readers होते हैं that read these kind of smart cards that have the information that is written on a chip. ठीक है. इसके अलावा we have the biometric authentication. Again, we have talked about the biometric devices and the biometric authentication before. That means these are systems that read and interpret individual human traits that are unique, so that आपका जो भी बंदा access कर रहा है किसी भी system को, and if there is any kind of biometric authentication there, तो वो system क्या कर रहा है, basically human traits को, for example fingerprints को read कर रहा है, and it is matching that trait with the digital code that is present in the system already, so that both the codes are matched, तो आपको access grant हो जाता है. So किस किस्म की unique features हो सकते हैं, fingerprints हैं, facial features हैं, retinal image, that means the eye, against the stored profile के against वो check हो रहे हैं. Stored profile again, once the employee is authorized to use a certain system, तो उसके वो सारे features पहले से ही store कर दिए जाते हैं, so that once he comes again, तो वो वाले features compare हो सके and he is given the access. Right, so there are different kinds of authentication methods. Even PCs or laptops जो आजकल हैं, they have their retinal scanners, and they have the face scanners as well as fingerprint readers already embedded into them, so that if there is a certain kind of a PC or a laptop that is highly protected, तो सिर्फ selected लोग उसको access कर सकें. Right, then we have the very common type of security measures जिसको हम firewall बोलते हैं. That means आपके computers में भी firewall install होता है, antivirus program install होता है. Then firewall operating system से भी related हो सकता है, और firewall जो है that can be present in the routers as well, so that it prevents any kind of, or firewall जो router में होती है that is also has the same purpose of filtering any kind of unauthorized access. Prevents unauthorized users from accessing private networks. So when the firewall is implemented in a corporate network, so basically it is preventing unauthorized users from accessing any kind of private network. Basically, firewall is a combination of hardware and software that controls the flow of incoming and outgoing network traffic. When the firewall is installed on the routers, तो हम उसको hardware firewall बोलते हैं. And then there's software firewalls as well that are sort of installed into the operating systems, or they're installed into computers, that controls the flow of incoming and outgoing network traffic, and also stopping any kind of intruders from accessing the systems. So basically the firewall is checking the names, the IP addresses, the application names that can access a certain system. And it is placed between the private networks as well and the external networks. So for example, if there is a LAN of an organization is being connected through any kind of computer to the internet, तो उस computer के ऊपर आपका एक firewall setup होगा, so that it cannot access the LAN of the company. Right, then we have special kind of intrusion detection systems, जो कि again larger companies with the very sensitive amount of data basically install these intrusion detection systems that provide security against suspicious network traffic and unauthorized access attempts. So any kind of hacking attempts, any kind of intruder attempts are sort of blocked with the help of these intrusion detection systems. Basically they are constant monitoring the system, and they feature full-time monitoring tools placed at most vulnerable points to detect and deter intruders. So network के ऊपर भी ये different kinds different levels के ऊपर place कर दिए जाते हैं, so that different vulnerable points के ऊपर place कर दिए जाते हैं, so that they can detect any kind of illegal activity या फिर जो भी unauthorized activity है वो detect करते हैं और उसको solve करने की कोशिश करते हैं, or they have certain kind of alarms that are set off when anything any intruder is coming into the system, so that according to that the different network administrators can take measures accordingly. Right, next again very common thing is antivirus and anti-spyware softwares that are installed in computers. They are designed to check the computer systems and drives for any kind of computer viruses, worms, Trojan horses, etc. And they are effective only against viruses already known. So जो आपका जो antivirus system है, that basically आपने एक बार install कर दिया, then that is not enough. It needs to be updated constantly because different kinds of new viruses जो हैं वो create होते जा रहे हैं. So antivirus system is only able to work against the virus once it knows कि ये virus कौन सा है. ठीक है, that's why जब आप एक antivirus system को update करते हैं, basically you are downloading different kinds of virus definitions into your antivirus system. So virus definition means that it has a list of different kind of viruses that are new and that can attack your system. Okay, so once you have a list of the new set of viruses, then the antivirus system can work against those new viruses. That's why they say that updating the antivirus system is very important because of the new viruses that are being generated. So antivirus systems basically different levels keep available, and they're available for personal computers, available for mobile devices and servers and workstations, etc., etc. And then we have the securing the wireless networks. जिसकी हमने पहले भी बात की थी, that you secure this with the help of a web protocol. That means that it assigns a unique name to the network's SSID and instructs the router not to broadcast it. ठीक है, the problem with that was that it had इसकी जो encryption method था that was a bit that consists of smaller keys. ठीक है, उसकी length ज़्यादा नहीं थी, so that it was easily detectable. Then there was WPA2 protocol that is again used nowadays, follows the stronger security standards, and it has longer keys that continuously change. Also along with that, there is a password that is available as well that is assigned to people who want to access the wireless networks. Right, another method that is basically used for any kind of communication that is happening between 2 points. So, एक चीज़ उसको कहते हैं encryption, that is happening to any kind of any kind of communication that happens between 2 points. Encryption basically is a process of transforming plain text or data into ciphertext that cannot be read by anybody other than the sender and the intended receiver. So sender और receiver के दरमियान जो भी communication है उसको basically encrypt कर देता है in a ciphertext that cannot be read by anybody else. ठीक है, किस तरह होती है? That uses secret numeric code called the encryption key. With the help of encryption key, basically वो उस data को change कर देते हैं another receiver, and they use another kind of key to put the data back into place and read it. Two protocols and basically SSL and SHTTP are used. That is, SHTTP is secure HTTP, so that the communication happening over the internet is secure. दो तरीके हैं. Public key encryption basically uses two set of keys, one public and one private. Right जी, उसमें ये होता है कि there are basically two sets of keys. एक sender के पास होती है. When the sender is sending the data, it uses the public key of the receiver end, and when the receiver receives the data, it decrypts the data with the help of the private key that it has, so that कोई और लोग, that is a stronger mechanism, so that nobody else can access the public key and decrypt the data, because that private key is only known to the receiver only. Right, this public key infrastructure, जिसको हम PKI भी बोलते हैं, is widely used in e-commerce. E-commerce में आपको ये जो public key infrastructure encryption type है, that is used commonly, so that the different kinds of communication that is happening between a consumer and the business is kept private, or any kind of credit card information that is being transferred is again kept private. Right. Another method of protecting the information system is that you are ensuring the system availability throughout. That is, the companies basically rely on the digital networks. Especially when you're working with the online transaction processing, then that means that आपका system जो है वो किसी भी point के ऊपर fail नहीं होना चाहिए. It has to work and it has to be available constantly. So that's why there is a system called fault-tolerant computing. That means that you have certain redundant hardware, software, and power supply components that are there to provide continuous and uninterrupted services. And in turn, that is to minimize any kind of downtime. Downtime क्या होता है? Basically, जो भी time required होता है to set up the system again and start running the system again. ठीक है जी, कोई एक problem आ गई, वो वाला downtime हो गया जिसमें system को आप दोबारा से सही कर रहे हैं और दोबारा से उसको चला रहे हैं. So it reduces the amount of downtime. Fault tolerant computer में आपके पास redundant hardware होते हैं, redundant software होते हैं. For example, RAID was again following the same procedure of having redundant layer of hard disks, so that अगर एक hard disk fail कर रही है, then you have the system automatically switches on to the other hard disk and takes data from there. Again, software जो है वो भी different places के ऊपर backup होना चाहिए. Power supply components again आपके पास different available होने चाहिए, so that in case of any kind of problem आपका जो recovery mechanism है वो जल्द से जल्द आपके system को up and running कर दे. And then there's a security outsourcing. That means outsourcing many security functions to managed security service providers. that monitor network activity and perform vulnerability testing. So in case your company does not have enough security expertise, or you cannot control the system on your own, then you basically outsource your security functions. तो उन firms को managed security service providers बोलते हैं, that provide you with these security services so that your systems can be constantly operational. Right. Once you talk about the different kinds of computer security, तो हम ने पहले भी बात की थी that when you have systems on the cloud or when you are taking software from the clouds, cloud setup में, तब there are definitely security issues there and availability issues also there that we also discussed in one of our case studies as well, कि आपको security issues आ सकते हैं and availability issues आ सकते हैं. So when you are concerned with the security in the cloud, that means the accountability and responsibility for protection of sensitive data is still with the company. जिस company का data है उसी की responsibility है और वही accountable होगा उस data के लिए, not any kind of cloud service providers. Why? Because these companies have to make sure when they are signing the agreement between the cloud service providers that the system होगा वो constantly available होगा. So when they're doing the agreement, the company has to make sure that the cloud providers are storing and securing the data according to the corporate requirements. So according to that company's corporate requirements, the service providers are basically storing the data according to the company's rules and regulations. Also, the companies can ask the cloud service providers for proof of encryption from cloud providers so that वो किस किस्म की encryption use कर रहे हैं and is there a proof that they are using the encryption methods that the cloud providers have to give to the companies. Also, the companies ask if cloud providers submit to external audits and security certifications. If the cloud service providers perform certain kind of audits, or they have some kind of external audits done in their company, or they have a certain kind of security certification given to them, then they have to give them a proof of that as well. So basically, when you are getting any kind of service from the cloud service providers, either you're getting the software or you're getting the platform to develop your own software, then whenever you have an agreement with those companies, तो ये सारी चीज़ें आपको service providers के साथ पहले बैठ के decide करनी होती हैं. That they have a certain level of security, they're going to follow the company's rules and regulation for storing the data, and they have to have some kind of a security certification. Then we talk about the securing mobile platforms, especially when the company has allowed the employees use any kind of mobile devices or handheld computers or smartphones for conducting business operations, then it is very necessary for the company to have a security policy that includes mobile devices and their protection. Right? So that means they have to develop guidelines with approved mobile platforms and applications. कि किस किस्म के mobile platform use हो रहे हैं और कौन-कौन सी application can be used on the official smartphones or official handheld devices. And they have also have to make sure that smartphones are up to date with latest security patches and antiviruses. So securing mobile platforms is as much necessary as securing the computer systems is, because now if the company is moving towards a mobile platform, that means कि उनकी security policy में ये होना चाहिए कि वो किस किस्म के mobile platforms use कर सकते हैं और किस किस्म के protection mechanism उनको apply करने हैं for using a certain number of applications, because apps तो mobiles के लिए smartphones के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा available होती हैं. So the companies have to basically devise certain policies that these kind of smartphones will be used in the company, and these are the certain set of apps that can be downloaded into the mobile systems or the mobile devices, because mobile apps तो बहुत सारी available होती हैं, but there are very few that can be reliable, or there are very few जिनके updates तो होंगे वो secure हो सकेंगे. Like I talked about before कि mobile platforms में भी virus attacks हो सकते हैं, intruder attacks हो सकते हैं, or any kind of update for an app can have any kind of malicious malware that can sabotage the mobile device. So that's why it's very important that when the company is using the mobile devices or smartphones for its business operations, then it has to devise a security policy for these kind of devices as well. Right, so far we've talked about the different kinds of tools and technology that are used for protecting the information systems. Tools or technologies की जब हमने बात की थी तो we said that there are different kinds of authentication methods that can be used to safeguard the systems, and then there's firewalls available, antivirus systems available, intrusion detection systems available, and also that the security must be applied when you're using different kinds of devices. For example, if you're using a mobile platform, तो आपको mobile devices की security define करनी होगी. When you're using the cloud, you have to define the security over the cloud as well. And you have to make sure that cloud service providers are complying with your rules and regulations. And if you cannot devise a certain kind of security policy, or you do not have the security expertise in your company, then you can outsource that expertise, and you can consult the different companies that provide security features. Right, so next we're going to do a case study, and that is about an antivirus software that damaged the computer. So when you're using any kind of software, you have to be very sure again कि आप किस किस्म का antivirus system use कर रहे हैं. But this was a trusted antivirus system. So we'll go through the case study and see कि उनके company को किस किस्म के problems आए थे और customers को किस किस्म के problems आए थे when dealing with the antivirus system. So this case study is not about the use of technology, but this case study is about the use of management to restore the systems. Righty, we're going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to read a few sentences from the a case study और उनको explain करने की कोशिश करूँगी while pinpointing the main points from the case study. And in the end, we're going to do the questions. Righty, McAfee is a prominent antivirus software and computer security company, and its popular virus scan product, which is also called the Antivirus Plus, is used by companies and individual consumers across the world. Right, जी company कौन सी है? McAfee. I'm sure you are quite familiar with this kind of this security company जो antivirus आपके काम कर रहे होते हैं. McAfee. This is a prominent antivirus software provider, and उनके जो जिस product में मसला आया था, that was called the Antivirus Plus. The company has worked to compile a long track record of good customer service and strong quality assurance. So basically, they have a reputation of a good customer service and quality assurance. But at 6 a.m. April 21, 2010, McAfee made a blunder that threatened to destroy that track record and prompted the possible departure of hundreds of valued customers. So what they did was that McAfee released what should have been a routine update for its flagship virus scan product that was intended to deal with a powerful new virus known as W32/WECORL.A. So एक virus था जिसके लिए उन्होंने एक update create किया था. Instead, McAfee's update caused potential hundreds of thousands of McAfee equipment machines running Windows XP to crash and fail to reboot. How could McAfee, a company whose focus is saving and preserving computers, commit a blunder that accomplished the opposite of a significant portion of its client base? So basically, they released an update that instead of fixing that virus, basically caused the computers to crash and they failed to reboot. So basically, वो जो उनके systems थे वो reboot loop में चले गए थे. They could not fully reboot the systems. Reboot means you cannot restart the system. So basically, the updates mistakenly targeted a critical Windows file, the svchost.exe. So ये आपके computers की critical file होती है svchost.exe. That was targeted, which hosts other services used by various programs on PCs. Usually, more than one instance of the process is running at any given time, and eliminating them all would cripple any system. Though many viruses, including that virus, disguise themselves using the name svchost.exe to avoid detection, McAfee had never had problems with viruses using that technique before. So basically क्या होता है, it was not the first time that any kind of virus was using that disguised name. Usually viruses जो होते हैं वो svchost.exe के नाम अपने आप को disguise कर लेते हैं. And McAfee could actually pinpoint that problem instead of removing that exe file. But this time they made that blunder. To make matters worse, without svchost.exe, Windows cannot boot properly. They lose their networking capabilities and their ability to detect USB devices, which is the only way of fixing affected computers. So, because of that, एक तो वो reboot नहीं हो सकते थे, दूसरे they lost networking capability obviously, and they couldn't detect the USB drives. So that means the PCs were completely non-functional. McAfee determined that the majority of affected machines were using XP Service Pack 3 combined with McAfee Virus Scan version 8.7. So the McAfee were also people were also very concerned with कि हुआ क्या है and what was the problem. So they started doing the investigation and figured out कि basically Windows XP Service Pack 3 जो लोग use कर रहे थे combined with the 8.7 version of the software, इन लोगों को basically problem आई थी in the operations of the computer. They also noted that the scan processes on available option of virus scan off by default in most virus scan installations was turned on in the majority of affected computers. Right जी, so दो तीन चीज़ें उन्होंने pinpoint की थी that these were basically the people who were affected. After thorough investigation, they were able to explain completely why they had made such a big mistake and which consumers were affected. ठीक है जी, ज़्यादा investigation पे उन्होंने figure out किया था कि क्यों उनसे mistake हुई है और कौन से customers affected हैं, कौन से तो pinpoint हो गए जो ये वाला service pack use कर रहे थे XP का. So the two most important points of failure were, first, users should have received a warning that svchost.exe was going to be quarantined or deleted, instead of automatically disposing of the file. So number one problem was that the people did not receive any warning that this kind of a critical system file was being deleted. Number two was that McAfee automated quality assurance testing failed to detect such a critical error because of what the company called inadequate coverage of product and operating systems in the test systems used. So basically उनके जो दो problems थे, एक तो ये था कि users को warning नहीं मिली थी कि ये वाली file delete हो जाएगी. दूसरी ये था कि quality assurance failed to detect the critical error. Quality assurance वालों ने ये detect नहीं किया था कि during the testing इस operating system और इस antivirus version को जो test bed जो था उसमें implement नहीं किया गया. So the testing was not conducted on the mentioned operating system. Windows XP Service Pack 3 के ऊपर they failed to do the testing of this antivirus update. Right, so this was a major technical problem there. Afterwards, McAfee जो है, they created this super DAT remediation tool to fix the problem, but this had to be applied on every computer separately to get the computers running again. So उसमें क्या करना पड़ा था, जिस किसी और कंप्यूटर के ऊपर वो फाइल डाउनलोड करनी पड़ी थी, and then they had to be installed in the other computer one at a time. So regarding the flaws in McAfee quality assurance processes, the company explained that they had not included XP Service Pack 3 in the test configuration. ठीक है? And this basically explanation flabbergasted many McAfee clients and other industry analysts, since XP SP3 is the most widely used desktop PC configuration. और ये वाली जो statement थी कि उन्होंने ये टेस्टिंग में नहीं इंक्लूड किया था ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, तो इसने काफ़ी लोगों को हैरान किया था, बिकॉज दैट वाज द मोस्ट कॉमन यूज्ड operating system by the people instead of at that moment Vista or Windows 7 से ज़्यादा XP use हो रहा था. So in the end, McAfee was criticized for its slow response to the crisis and for its initial attempts to downplay the issue impact on its customers. So in the end, after 2 days after the update was released, McAfee executive finally apologized to customers on the company's blog. Soon after, CEO of the company recorded a video for customers still available via McAfee's website in which he apologized for and explained the incident. So, since the company initially, the McAfee was slow to respond to the crisis, उसके बाद जो CEO थे और जो executives थे, they had to formally apologize for this kind of act, जो कि उन्होंने problems create किए थे. And obviously the customers, there were millions of hospital users as well as corporate users that were using the computers, तो उन सब लोगों के computers जो थे वो affect हुए थे. And that was a very big issue in 2010 when McAfee got into problems and the customers were not very happy with the antivirus company. Righty, questions है. What management, organization and technology factors were responsible for McAfee's software problem? अब मैनेजमेंट लेवल के ऊपर, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लेवल के ऊपर, टेक्नोलॉजी लेवल के ऊपर कौन से प्रॉब्लम्स थे जिसने मैकफी को अफेक्ट किया था? मैनेजमेंट फैक्टर्स वर दैट did not apply proper quality assurance procedures, that the management was responsible for properly applying the quality assurance and checking that everything was done properly, but they could not manage to do that. Why? Because organizational factor ये आ जाता है that the organization had recently changed their quality assurance environment. उन्होंने changes किए थे quality assurance environment में at a critical point and they could not fully make it a functional system. Technology factors was that, number one, the users did not receive a warning that a critical file will be quarantined. Technically, antivirus system में ये चीज़ डालनी चाहिए थी उन्हें that whenever any kind of antivirus system is about to quarantine or delete any kind of critical file, तो वो पूछता है user से that either he or she either that system should do that or not. And secondly, technical factor ये है जो technical team है, they did not do the proper testing of the antivirus update. They have to include all kinds of operating systems into the testing environment. So these were basically the problems that affected and a very reputable company की जो थी वो mistake इतना बड़ा blunder बन गई. So even though it was just a small mistake, उन्होंने एक चीज़ सिर्फ मिस की थी जिसकी वजह से बहुत सारे computers को नुकसान हुआ था, बहुत सारी companies को नुकसान हुआ था. So that the people had to उनका down time जो था वो ज़्यादा number of days पे expand कर गया था. Righty. What was the business impact of this software problem both for McAfee and for its customers? Business impact क्या था? That is that for the McAfee itself, damage an antivirus company's reputation because people blindly trust such companies. ठीक है? Business wise, obviously customers जो थे वो थोड़े से reluctant हो गए थे to have the antivirus installed from McAfee because again when he said that any kind of security breach or any kind of problem that affects the company, basically उसके जो market value है वो एकदम कम हो जाती है and जो company की reputation है that becomes on stake and that's why they can lose the businesses as well. Right जी, on the customer's end, customers' businesses became non-functional and had to shut down until computers were fixed. Again, जो business impact हुआ था वो भी बुरा हुआ था customers end के ऊपर because the customers के जो operations थे वो रुक गए थे. The businesses, most of the businesses became non-functional and had to shut down until computers were fixed. तो जब तक उनके computers सारे working order में नहीं आए, they had to shut down for a few days, and that in turn leads to loss of business again. So एक छोटी सी गलती की वजह से it not only affected the McAfee reputation, it also affected the businesses of the other customer companies as well. Right, so again, it's very important that you have a quality assurance. So after that, when this all happened, McAfee sort of improved their quality assurance procedures and programs so that is किस्म की गलती and their testing has to be very vigorous, because एक छोटी सी गलती की वजह से, and because it's an antivirus software, वो एक भी गलत फाइल डिलीट करेंगे, that can cause problem to lots of computers all over the world. और and basically इतना widespread जो था इसका result इसलिए भी हुआ because most of the companies want their employees to update the antivirus system regularly, again because of the same reason that there are new viruses coming up and they have to update the virus definitions. Again, इनकी जो virus definition update हुई थी, उस definition में problem था. They could not detect the right kind of virus and instead उन्होंने गलत फाइल जो थी वो delete कर दी थी. Right, in the end of the chapter, I like to stress upon the fact that digital data are vulnerable to destruction, misuse, error and fraud, and also any kind of hardware and software failures. That's why it's very important to safeguard these systems, and the situation is aggravated when systems are connected to internet or wireless mediums. So any kind, when these systems or private networks are connected to the open network, that is the internet, then the systems become more vulnerable, more weak for any kind of intrusion or any kind of attacks or malicious software attacks. So, and there are again different kinds of criminal activities, different kinds of computer crimes and cyber crimes, as well as malware that can affect any kind of information system and its working performance. And any kind of sound security and control can cause firms relying on these computer systems for their business operations to lose sales and productivity. So unless and until the companies have sound policies and systems implemented, then they're going to remain productive and will not compromise their reputation. So that's why the companies need to have good general and application controls, including the security policies that defines the different kinds of rules and regulations to be followed in terms of security, also disaster recovery management, as well as business continuity management that deals with the technical as well as the business aspects of what business processes as well as data that needs to be back up in case of any kind of disaster. Also, when you're dealing with cloud computing or when you're dealing with mobile platforms, you need to include those platforms in the security policies as well. And then again, there are different kinds of tools and technologies available that are there to provide security to the system. So based on the risk assessment and the security policies, the companies can apply these tools and technologies so as to safeguard the system. So this is all for today's lecture. Thank you very much.